Majestic God, your Spirit opens our hearts and teaches us how to love. Come to us now and stir up this gift so we may truly live as you command.
Let us stand and sing our opening hymn, one of the great hymns of United Methodism, Love Divine, All Loves Excel, with 380.
It is that time. If you take a look in your bulletin, you'll find a whole list of prayer requests. Every now and then I take some time to remind you that it's your job as a member of this congregation to lift these folks in prayer. Those you carry on your hearts that come in with this morning, those that you're aware of in the community, the needs, address those in this time of prayer. Many of us celebrate today our mothers and other godly women we've put in our lives along the way to be a mother to us. Thank you for these special women of grace May they know your pleasure and blessing in their lives. Dear Lord, we also pray for those whose hearts ache because of the separation or loss of a loved one. God of comfort and peace, be near to them now. And for broken relationships, we ask for your healing and restoration. Where needed, may the forgiveness that is available to us through Jesus Christ be given and received. May your love increase, O Lord, in our hearts and in our relationships. Thank you for your unfailing love that never forsakes and from which nothing can separate us. In Jesus Christ our Lord. Bless us now as we offer the prayer he taught us, saying, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever.
Let us now turn in our faith week sing hymnal, the Black hymnal, and turn to 2050. It's a wonderful text. Mothering God, you gave me birth. Set the very familiar hymn to you. Let us stand and sing together.
What a privilege to gather together on this beautiful spring morning to bring our worship to God. Our God is worthy of our worship. David wrote in Psalm 8:1, O Lord, our Lord, how majestic is your name in all the earth. You have set your glory above the heavens. With David, we too proclaim the majesty of God's name in all the earth. Each day represents new beginnings, new opportunities to bring to God gifts that represent how much we love him and how thankful we are for his faithfulness. May God bless you as we bless him through our worship.
the mothers who are here today. We have the children to sing a special song for you, and we're going to ask them to introduce themselves to you before they sing and tell you who they are singing for.
My name is Anna, and I'm singing for my mom. My name is Abigail, and I'm singing for my mom. My name is Brandon, and I'm singing for my mom. My name is Logan, and I'm singing for my mom.
My name is Dakota, and I'm singing for Diane Hall.
This is Sabrina, and Sabrina, who are you singing for?
Her mom.
Okay. We're going to sing, the children are going to sing the song through for you one time, and then the second time, we're going to ask all of you to join us. Everybody, please.
Our text this morning is from the Gospel of John, chapter 15, verses 1 through 8. I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine grower. He removes every branch in me that bears no fruit. Every branch that bears fruit, he prunes to make it bear more fruit. You have already been cleansed by the word that I have spoken to you. Abide in me as I abide in you. Just as the branch cannot bear fruit by itself unless it abides in the vine, neither can you unless you abide in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. Those who abide in me, and I in them, bear much fruit, because apart from me, you can do nothing. Whoever does not abide in me is thrown away like a branch that withers. Such branches are gathered, thrown into the fire, and burned. If you abide in me, and my words abide in you, ask for whatever you wish, and it will be done for you. My Father is glorified by this, that you bear much fruit and become my disciples. The word of God for the people of God.
Praise be to God.
Our anthem this morning by Thomas Tallis, My Commandments. And so as we endeavor to do so, also don't forget to mind your mom.
special thanksgiving to God for the love and care of mothers. Mother's Day may not be a high holy day. It may not even appear on the liturgical calendar. But I'm here to say that maybe it should. Maybe it really should. Because Mother's Day not only affords us the opportunity to give thanks to our mothers, but it's also a time to reflect on the mothering aspects of God. The attributes of God which reveal a mother's compassion, a mother's love, caring. And it's when we think about the mothering attributes of God that we realize Mother's Day is both a happy day and a sad day at the same time. There's great joy that comes with being a mother, having a family, raising children. Those are all things God finds joy in as well. But what happens when a child becomes estranged to the mother? Or worse yet, when a child dies? God shares the intimate knowledge of the sadness that comes with motherhood too. And then there are those among us for whom Mother's Day is a difficult time because they've wanted to be a mother and for whatever reason have not been able to. Does God know what this is like also? I believe He does. I believe God is well acquainted with disappointment, great disappointment. But here in the context of worship, I think Mother's Day can really help us to see another side of God that we may not accentuate enough. That would be the feeling, emoting side of God that laughs for joy and cries for sorrow. God, our Mother, is an image of God that lends itself to thoughts of tenderness and sacrifice. So, with all that in mind, what, pray tell, is our text for this Mother's Day? The Gospel of John's metaphor of God, the vine dresser, pruning branches. Well, that's interesting. I don't know about you, but I don't particularly find a knife-wielding mother comforting. Especially if it's a mother-in-law. Maybe it's just me. But I immediately start hearing the theme music from the 1950s classic Psycho. The whole concept of pruning is not necessarily one that would connect with motherhood, at least not at first. But let's think about this. Jesus says, I am the true vine, and God is like a mother who lovingly and carefully tends the vineyard, the garden. She wants the vineyard to grow, to be prosperous. So she removes every branch from the vine that bears no fruit. Every branch that bears fruit, she prunes carefully, constructively, and surgically to make it bear more fruit. The pruning metaphor works best if we think of God as a gardener who grieves while watching a violent storm rip through her beloved garden. And afterward, she tenderly prunes the injured plants in order to guarantee survival and to restore beauty and harmony. But we can't confuse pruning with the crises that overtake us, and we tend to do that. No, pruning has more to do with clearing away the debris of those crises. The aftermath. What's left behind once it's passed. And there's one particular brand of crisis that continually calls for pruning. It's the self-imposed crisis. We kind of talked about those last week as well. It's when we mess up. It's when we sin. And we need pruned the most. Now, I don't know about you, but my mother would prune me. Yes, she would. Let's just say I gave her lots of practice. Not near as much as Bob Cole gave his mother. staying calm. And she was a redhead, but she was really good at staying calm. And that's when I got really scared. And with a very non-anxious voice, she would cut me down to size. That wasn't the good part. The good part was that the way my mother practiced this art of accountability, her criticism was always right to the point. She never danced around it. She went straight for it. There was also tied into it, though, an affirmation of some good, something that I could build on. In other words, my mother would prune me. She would acknowledge my inherent worth and help me clear away debris in my life, the things that were unhealthy only holding me back. Needless to say, this was not always a painless procedure. But nothing that involves a pruning knife ever is. Yet there's a big difference in the way the knife is handled. There's also a big difference in the kind of knife used. My mother, her acts of pruning were more surgical scalpel than slashing machete. And I've seen mothers that were slashing machetes. So have you. So I'm grateful for the surgical part. And yet we all know what it's like to have someone come at us with a slashing machete. Criticism is not something we deal with really well to begin with. Most people just don't care to be criticized. So when criticism is not constructive, now moms, I got to tell you, you may be able to wield a machete, but when it comes to that kind of criticism, the chief petty officer in the Navy puts you to shame. He can dress a sailor down in such a way that the poor boy never wants to get up. And just leaving him. And as a chaplain, the first time I saw that happen, it was like, you've left me this puddle of gel here. What am I supposed to do with it? Because he had torn him down. He had not done anything constructive. Just torn him down. Don't you know I started classes for chiefs on how to do constructive dressing down. Don't know that it had much effect. We tried. Mothers seem to do constructive dressing down pretty good. They always leave a little something to grow on. Now, intellectually, we may know that this unconstructive criticism is without merit and should be dismissed. But that doesn't stop it from hurting. Right in the gut. It hurts. It's painful. We can rationalize why it's done all we want. It doesn't make it hurt any less. If God's tender, upbuilding pruning is the model, then that is what we should expect from one another. And what we should extend to one another. The other side of the coin is true as well. When we are called upon to be critical, do we seek to prune and love, or do we just go psycho shower scene? Which do we do? If God's tender, upbuilding pruning is the model, then that is what we should expect from one another and what we should extend to one another. But it's more than just an individual thing. When Jesus says, "You are the branches," that "you" is plural. Together, we are a branch. So another way of hearing this is that God is pruning us, Old North United Methodist Church, and the Church Universal. The good news is that God desires for this church to continue to grow and be productive spiritually and numerically. The good news here at Old North is it's starting to work. The good news is that God desires for this church to continue to grow, be productive both spiritually and numerically. I'll I want you to hear that. God desires that our good fruit, our acts of ministry and mission, grow and become more effective, more productive, and more prolific. And the good news is that we don't do this alone. The presence of God is among us, empowering us. Jesus says, "Live forever in me, as I have promised to live forever in you." That's how we work together with Christ, to make good things happen. Our unity with Christ fosters an environment of trust in which we are open to God's pruning. We are open to the constructive criticism that Christ works among us as we grow this church and make us more faithfully productive. You ever heard this phrase, cut to the quick? Okay. Means literally to cut through the skin to the living tissue. That's what it means. Cut through the living part quick. I had a high school friend who had a German grandmother. She always had a number of antiquated sayings that she'd pepper conversation with. She used that phrase, cut to the quick, in referring to what his mother would do when he got in trouble. His grandmother would say, "My little lamb, I see that your mother had to cut you to the quick again." I never really understood what his grandmother meant by this until I looked it up, and I discovered that the definition of cut to the quick was literally to cut to the living tissue. Cut through the living part. Right into it. To be cut to the quick can mean to be stung by someone's harsh criticism. But that's not what his grandmother meant. He was her little lamb. She didn't know him very well. And she understood what his mother was doing to be necessary pruning. He needed this pruning in order to be the very best that he could be, the most faithful person that he could be. And that's exactly what God does with us. Exactly. This worship service can and sometimes does function to cut us to the quick. It is an act of pruning in which through prayer and confession we are held accountable. We are held accountable, and through which we are called upon to offer up the debris of our lives to be cut away. All the while knowing, believing that the God we know most fully through Jesus Christ loves us and cares for us like a mother loves and cares for her children. All these things come together through love to build us up, not tear us down. God's Word, read in the Scriptures and proclaimed in sermon and song, also prunes, as do the sacraments of baptism and Holy Communion. All these things come together in love to build us up, not to tear us down. God's pruning is an act of love that is meant to extol life, not extinguish it. Commend life, not condemn it. Protect life, not punish it. So, may we all come to receive God's pruning not with fear and resistance, but with a newfound sense of gratitude and appreciation. May we come to experience God's pruning us as a congregation, and may our faithful growing and blossoming give to God a mother's joy. We should leave church like we left our mothers pruning. You know? Maybe there's a sore spot. Maybe something's been called to our attention that we need to take a better look at. Maybe there's some debris in our life we need to sweep out. If you never leave church thinking about that kind of stuff, you probably need to find a new church. If you only leave church feeling really good and happy, you probably need to find a new church. Sometimes you should walk out going, wow, I need to look at this. I need to look at this so that I can be a better person. I need to look at this so that I can be more influential in the church, so that I can do more, so that I can be more. That's what God calls us all to be. So if you've never been pruned or felt like you were pruned, hey, come talk to me. I'll help you out. And now, let's close this service and enjoy Mother's Day.
Turn in the green hymnal, our worship and song in 3089, O Living God. Beautiful new hymn with a timeless melody and a timeless message.
Pretty rich.
knowing that just as Jesus loved the disciples, so he loves you and holds you in his care and prayers. Go to share that love and care